righty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Jeez, I kept on pushing buttons and thought I was there. All right, let's see what's going on this morning. As you can see, there is the dollar index. Let's just scroll it back up to the dollar. There it is right there. And again, that confusion and juggling and not sure or maybe, interest rate, someone is on the one of the financial channels right now saying, oh, we're confident interest rates are coming down. And that is true. We all have that confidence. Somewhere along the line, they are going to be coming down. It's kind of like that transitory thing. We could call it actually transitory. Right now, interest rates are transitory. Right now, they're high, and they're going to become lower. That seems fair enough to be able to look at it that way. And I'm surprised that the Secretary of Treasury, Mrs. Yellen, the former Fed chair, and the Fed chair, why don't they just refer to it as transitory? They had no problem thinking that inflation was going to go down. And it finally has. It was transitory. It first had to go from 1.4 to 9 and change. But all the way up, they kept on calling it was transitory. And, of course, it is. It's in the threes now or something of that nature. 3.5, 3, 4 even. Some want to say it's a 2.8. I don't know. They have all kinds of fun numbers they want to do. It's like when we had the GDP, the gross domestic product went minus for 2 full quarters, 6 months. And, they should have used the word transitory there also. It was transitory. No problem. Easy peasy. And so I guess have they destroyed the name of transitory? I mean, are they afraid now to use the word transitory? Hey, Robin, how you doing? That connection's better, isn't it? See that? Boom, you're there. So right now, inflation is transitory. They told us for almost a year and a half it was transitory, and it still is. And interest rates being high right now are transitory. And that literally is going to be the question. Is the word transitory a bad word or is it a good word? I mean, they don't use it anymore. Yeah, cool. All right, so you can see there, I would say the strength in the dollar is transitory. It's going to go, it's been up high and strong for a bunch of years. We got towards that flat area at one point where we were at par, 100. How many years did I have people ask me, Doc, when is the euro going to be at 100? Well, we got there. Boom. It made it there. So, the bigger question is obviously, and consistent question is, that right now what we are going through is we're going through the transitory of interest rates, and it seems so unfair if they could use that word for other the other things that didn't seem to play out the way they expected so quickly, but they were right. Inflation went from 1.4 all the way up to 9, almost 10, and they kept on saying it was transitory, and sure enough it is. It's down into the threes now, so that's transitory to me. All right, let's slide over to, there's the dollar index. So I guess what we'll do is we will jump over to, let's go to the euro itself and see how it's been acting. As you can see, we jumped into, let's show you where it's at right now on the beta too. Let's see, where's the beta? Right there. You see it's up in the 108.5 area, trying to move down. You can see we've got a red dot there. And then we jump over to the bigger platform until we get that thing straightened out on the beta. It works really good. It's running around 96%, but we still need to get that weekly straightened out more, and the daily will be updating on the daily basis, and that'll be perfect. And so you can see here, that's the euro on the other platform threatening. It's still on the plus side by a hair, and it's got a little red dot just like the beta does, and we're still in weekly buys. So the pressure on the euro is basically, trapped in a sideways. Robin and I were looking at the S&P 500 today, in the SPY, and thinking, wow, look how that product is trying to build a big, giant, what do we call it, a head and shoulders, a reverse head and shoulders. That's what it looks like to us. And so we see the same type of action going on at times with the euro. And, you can see this big bottom in here. So you point it out. See, it's like right here. These are the shoulders. This is the head. And it makes you want to believe, let's scrunch it up a little bit more, like that. It makes you want to believe, like right there's one side, there's the head here, there's the other shoulder, that it really wants to take off up on the upside, not go down. So, we do believe that the dollar is going to go down over time. And it's going to be hard to say because, when Trump was president, the market was so firm here in the United States. Money ran here like it was a pure safe haven after before World War One. There was that great story right before World War One. Americans, the economy was okay, not great, but just okay. Wilson was president. Things were getting a little sideways. They were just starting to introduce an income tax, and they thought, Europe is going into war, and we're not going to be in the war, and no one's going to want to invest here in America. Well, we found out that everybody started moving their gold, and they started investing in America because it became the new Switzerland. It surprised the bankers and the traders here in the United States. It did. It really surprised them. They did not expect that to happen. And so then, after the war, the money stayed here. And it was like, whoa, that's different, I'm even more confused, and they thought, wow, that's unique, So then, just checking my sound. Something jumped there. I heard it. So then, you fast forward to, the different political situations that are going on outside the United States, and the money comes here to park itself. And then when Mr. Trump became president, they ran towards the dollar like there was no tomorrow. I mean, it just, it was just like, wow. They just kept on reaching for the dollar. The dollar went into all-time highs. It's bad enough it's at all-time highs half the time anyway. But, as I said to Robin this morning about the S&P and the NASDAQ, the Tech 100, at all-time highs. I said, they're at all-time highs. If you can't sell when you're at all-time highs, when you're supposed to sell? So, it made it even, I guess you could say in some odd different ways, it makes it hard, to try to pick. When you're at all-time highs, what else can you do but sell? I mean, do you really want to buy and cannonball your way? Not really. I mean, with the Fed involved in QE era, no problem. It seems like cannonballing and buying high and then trying to sell it higher instead of trying to buy it lower and then sell it higher, which is the way money managers try to do those things. But, in these times, that doesn't seem to be playing that's not the recipe, basically, which is odd. Buy low, sell high. They just feel very comfortable to buy higher, and that's the Nevada conversation all the time. So anyway, we're thinking, wow, you see that pattern, developing, and you start to wonder, are we going to see, that same strength over and over and over again? While we're in QE, I'd imagine so. But more than that is, this time around, will the markets, blast off like they did last time Trump was president? I would assume, of course, there'll be some euphoria, of course. In other words, knowing that the world is not, going to be choked to death by fantasy land. That seems to be the politics of today with Mr. Biden. Unfortunately, they seem to be, anything they wish for or hope for, they do. Like, I'll give you a good example, and I'm not exaggerating. I'll give you a very good example. There is, they put out, I guess they put in a bill, $8 billion for charging stations for automobiles. They did that about 2 years ago. And as they're trying to implement this over the last year and a half now, since they put that in a bill, the problem has been is that they've only built 9 charging stations. So they have $8 billion sitting there. Supposedly they were supposed to build tens of thousands of charging stations for electric automobiles. But instead, they're in a situation where they have not done that yet. They haven't been able to figure out how to do that. So they got about 8 or 9 charging stations, and every time they talk to the Secretary of Transportation, he comes up with another excuse why it hasn't happened. And so, these when socialists are involved, they seem to have a tendency to try to do things that are kind of like gut feeling type things, and they do the odd things, and that's why I'm wondering, will the markets take off with Mr. Trump in office, the way he was in office before? And I'm sure the stock markets will, and the oil markets and so forth, but there's a lot to be fixed. We got a lot of problems from all this crazy, unrealistic spending over the last, off and on with these wild congresses. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the money actually does get spent or how it does not get spent. And so will money come running to America? I say, of course, yes. But when we see the dollar, the euro, showing us the reverse head and shoulders there, and let me point it out again right here. When you see these, like there's a reverse head and shoulders there, and there's another one right here. Let me tighten this up again. You can see it's trying. In other words, I think that the euro is going to be a stronger product, and I always kind of remind the crowd here. We have these old sayings from Wall Street for over 100 years, and that is when America sneezes, the world catches a cold. So in other words, it's America that basically is the engine. They always say America is the engine to the train, the world train. And if America is not running really well, then the world is normally not running very well. I guess the perfect example is when they put China in as, I guess you call it, China was put in as the second most powerful economy in the world, which it's not. But when they made it the official one, in their heads, not in reality, because we all know the European Union is bigger. Its currency is, almost 100 times stronger. They produce basically about the same. The only difference is that America buys like 300, 400, 500 billion. Yeah, they do $500 billion a year in business sometimes with the United States because of all the slave labor. That's another thing too. They've thrown out slave labor and stuff like that in America. When you open up a business in China, slave labor is okay, but if you do it in Europe, slave labor is bad, and if you do slave labor in the United States, it's bad. Well, we don't do. England and the United States outlawed slavery hundreds of years ago. So it's awful. It's hard to kind of justify that thing of like as if we have slave labor, but China does. And so, and anytime someone even looks like they're doing slave labor in Europe, they torture the daylights out of them and shut them down. But when it comes to China, no problem. So, in other words, they sell us solar collectors cheaper than we can manufacture them, let alone sell them. And same thing with a lot of other things out of China. The iPhones and things like that. Nike shoes, Nike sneakers, and it goes on and on. There's all kinds of slave labor doing the work over there. But when you're a socialist communist country, you can get away with it and just say, oh, well, that's our system. Everybody's equal. Even if they are slaves and they can't leave, they almost sleep in their factories. But that's the way it goes. So anyway, looking at that pattern, it says to us that it basically is trying to generate a head and shoulders in the reverse, and that one day, in a transitory way, it will be stronger against the dollar. So we can really honestly say, the euro is it's in transitory state right now about becoming stronger against the dollar. I like that. That seems fair enough to me. All right. So from that transitory point of view of the euro, we go over to the cable. Let's see how transitory that thing is today. Put it up on beta. And we'll put it up on the other platform. And so there it is right there. You can see there's the let's show you. You can see right there on the other platform, it's 4 days now in a buy. It's at 0.00015, just dropped from 0.017. It's still in a weekly buy for 3 weeks. This is the third week. Now we're halfway through the week. So, and you can see the same situation. Here's your head. There's your shoulders. Right there. Shoulder. Is that showing? Yeah. Good. And let's just show it to you on the beta, too, at the same time. Right there. It is on the beta. And that's the head right there, and there's the shoulder. And you can see it's trying to drop off a little bit. You can see it's in the plus and the minus, just like a red-green situation. So, it's having its issues. All right. And then from there, we'll go over to, let's go to the Swiss. Swiss was interesting. It's pushed into the sell for the last 3 days. Let's see. You can see we have a zero line right there. You can see that it is just dipping into the sell on a weekly. We had a big circly thing there. And we'll just shrink that circly. Let's just get rid of it and put a new one in. Remove drawing and put a new one in like so. There we are. So we're just flirting with that weekly sell. And it doesn't seem to be doing anything but sideways. They're battling inflation. They're doing a good job of trying to reduce the expenses and keep interest rates flat. Keep them on the flat side of things. Try not make them run up or run down. Just kind of slow and steady. And so the transitoriness of the Swiss is very tight. It's not really going anywhere particular compared to the transitory situation in interest rates or the transitory situation in excuse me, the euro. All right, I take a cough drop there. Excuse me. So yes, Swiss is not so transitory. It seems very steady and solid. And what else can we say? I guess that's about it. When it comes to the Swiss, just that we're very, very comfortable and happy the way we've been seeing the Swiss National Bank control their inflation and do a good job of keeping it stalled. Ours is increasing. If you're measuring our inflation in the United States over a 3-month or 6-month or 1 year pattern, in a 1 year pattern we're moving up, but over a 1.5 year pattern we're moving down. So over the last year and the last 9 months, inflation has been lifting up. But over the last year and a half, since it hit the 10 spot back in 22, I guess it is now, it's going down. And then if you look over the last 40 years, it's going up. Depends on that's why you could call it transitory, because it's depending on where you choose your starting point. And so that's a good way of looking at it all. There we go. So, transitory, the euro and the interest rates. And that's so nice. All right. So from there, we go over to, I saw an interesting headline too. We're going to go to the yen. And I should go put that up on the screen. Let me go put it up on the screen. It was a very fascinating article about the Japanese yen. And what was it? Something about the Fed bailing them out. Let me go find that article. I'm going to put that on the screen. I thought that was really curious. Let's see. Something about it could actually save the yen. Let's see. I should have saved that one. Oh, there's a horrible one. Is the Federal Reserve just winging it? Oh, I gotta save that one too. We'll show you that one in a few seconds also. Matter of fact, I think I'll put that up there first. Should I put that up there first? Why not? That's really good. Let's see. Let's just move it over to you. They have Mr. What's his name? Powell. Is the Federal Reserve just winging it? And they have him throwing darts at a dartboard. Look at that. I mean, that's there's a lot of situations where people are just scratching their heads anymore about all of it. But without a doubt, that is definitely one of them. With the way they do things anymore. Let's see if we can find that next one again. Go like that. Let me find the Japanese one, because I thought that was fascinating. The idea that the yen could get bailed out by this, and it didn't surprise me when I saw the headline. I didn't think, oh my God, this is such a big thing. Let's see if I can find it here. Which is, makes a lot of sense, because there's a lot of coordination between Japan and the United States economically, and they were our China all the way up until recently. They were our China. That was there was no doubt about it. They were our number one trading partner. Now that we were using slave labor, China is the number one. Before that, Japan was. Japan was our number one trading partner for years. And, so the slave labor definitely helps out. Especially when the politicians that are in control, don't care. That's the other part. Let's see, where's that article? I can't find it. It's out there. I'm hunting for it. It's well worth seeing, but I'll have to look later on, because if I sit here and just stare for it, I'll get won't get anything done. All right. Anyway, there's a serious talk. Let's just get rid of that one right there. Serious talk in the yen of the Federal Reserve coming in. Doesn't look like it there at all. You can still send the buy. There is that little flirtation we're seeing in the weekly. So they may be smelling something. You know how they like the front run. These politicians inside the governments love to trade ahead of the market, and they get away with it, except for, I guess you could say, the calamity that's going on in Japan right now with the the Liberal Democrat Party, the LDP, where they've been having to fire ministers left and right and head of the Bank of Japan had to be removed, and they have some real, just like, see, that's what, if that would have happened to South Africa, they were able to do that legal thing, like actually follow the laws. And so when they caught the Japanese ministers and everybody doing things, they get rid of them. But in South Africa, they reward them, and that's why the currency has like a 30% haircut now. It's trading definitely much higher than it should be. It's losing against the dollar much more than it should be. But they're hedging themselves because they're putting the cushion in there, saying, okay, if they're going to be running a disruptive government, well then let's just make their currency less worth. So instead of it trading in the 12.5 and 13 area, nowadays it trades in the the 18.5 area. There's the great experiment right there, and then we'll jump over to the South African Rand in a few seconds. See, it's staying inside that range. Isn't that nice? Look at that. Now, it didn't do it there on the holiday, but now the traders are back. They're paying attention to our box. It was so sad. It busted right through there and dropped down to there. Woof. Woof. All right, and then from there we shoot over to, there it is, the South African Rand, trading in the 1825 area, got down to about 1800. But when you have gold trading around $2,400 an ounce, South African Rand would normally, with the way it was before the political turmoil that got going about a year and a half ago with the existing president, with all the cash that was discovered in his office of dollars, well beyond his income bracket, it has put pressure on this currency. And so when this currency goes down, it's gaining against the dollar, and gold normally goes up. And it usually works really well in lockstep, but of late it's been the other way. Now this little bounce back up again just for a few days put pressure on the gold. Matter of fact, I think the gold is still in a sell. Yeah, it's still in a sell. You can see it right there. Still in the sell. So they're feeling that pressure from that bounce. Now, if we can get the South African Rand to start moving back down again, which it has for the last couple of days here, but today it's higher than it was the day before. We'll see, but it's not taking out the high itself. It's just trading higher on a closing basis. And you can see here we've been in a weekly sell now for 5 weeks? 6 weeks. 6 weeks in a weekly sell. And gold itself, go back to the gold. You see here, the same 6 weeks as it was in a sell. Count back 3 there. That was the low in here, and the gold went up. And so that's how it usually works. It works pretty well in a lockstep. In other words, when one goes one way, the other goes the same way in its own. They both follow that same direction. Gain against the dollar, the Yankee dollar. All right, and so can we really say that the South African Rand is transitory? Hard to say, because the big cushion in it now, because of the politics, it doesn't look so transitory yet. Whereas, who doesn't look transitory? Look at that, the Euro Turkish Lira. It's really locked itself in since March in this range and doesn't seem to want to break out of it, which we're all cheering for because that means inflation is kind of stalled. That's always good, Always good to see inflation stalled. It's the tax that nobody likes to talk about. So there's the South African Rand, and now we will go take a peek at Silverado. Well, let's do this too. We can go take a look at gold on the beta. Where's the beta? Beta. Right there. And there's the gold with the beta as we looked at it a few seconds ago. You see it's that pressure down in the sell the whole bit. And it's actually been in the sell for two weeks. So it picked up that weakness 2 weeks ago, the beta, as it somewhere's in here at this top, basically. That top pushed it into it. And then now this is reading, it's trying to climb into the buy, and you can see it's trying to lift up a little bit here. It's a little bit higher, but still in a sell. Let's go over to there and put gold in. right there. And there's the gold. No, that's the S&P. Right there. That's not it either. There it is right there. There's the gold. Looking on that same way as the beta. It's doing that choppy thing there, with lots of reds. And then we jump over to let's do this. Let's put silver in. There's silver. Silver going after the highs yesterday and today. And you can see the daily is climbing back into the buy. It was in a sell for a few days here. Over here, same thing. Silver jumped into the buy yesterday, I believe it is. Yeah, jumped into the buy also after being in a sell for a couple of days. But the weekly is not backing off. I'll show it to you right there. Weekly is definitely not backing off. It's staying in that long buy for a few months now. Since the beginning of February, it's been in a weekly buy. And over here, same thing. 10 full weeks in a buy. It does a 10-week thing there. And so it's moving along firm and steady and not letting go. Right here we got, what is it? Right there is the copper. Copper is in itself for, that's interesting, is that the pressure is on that even more, and I'm not sure. See, they don't have a good quote for yesterday. I'm not sure what's going on. This is the June contract. Is it June? No, this is that's silver. Yeah, okay. That's copper. And copper, you see here, copper went into the buy yesterday, and now it's flirting with the sell. It's got a green and a red. And you see it over here on the beta, the same situation. It's jumped up, but it's, I guess because of the holiday, it's kind of all screwed up, some of the data coming in. But that, I have the exchange one in on the copper. Notice that the copper is flirting with the weekly sell, and that's going to be very interesting to see how they play that out by the end of the week. And at the same time, I would assume it's going to be more than likely, because you see the same thing over here too. We're flirting with that weekly sell right there. So say save workspace, and then we will do a copy of it, because definitely it's well worth retaining. All right there. And so there's the copper, and then we go over to the platinum. And there's the platinum. Platinum went into the buy. Let's see how it looks here. Yeah, platinum, I'm not sure what contract. They're not showing the July at the moment. I just don't think it is the July, as much as it should be. Something's wrong there. I don't know. Same price. Sometimes that data feed is off. But over here on this platform, it looks fine. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. See, the weekly's 10 weeks, just like it is on the other platform. And it's going on long and strong. Then you see here on the beta, it's getting tangled because of, it seems like there's no dots or anything going on here. It seems like they didn't put the high and low in. It's just like a settlement. So it's probably sometimes the June contract. We follow the July contract, and I guess I should put the July in there. In other words, the title July, compared to going with the default. So we will have to take an observation of that. So then from there we go over to the energy sector. And there is, you can see crude oil inching its way up slow and steadily. And it doesn't seem to be, it's not afraid of it. That's the funny thing, is it definitely is not afraid of it. You see here, the weekly is trying to climb into the buy. You see that right in there. See it right there. And the daily had a really, really strong day yesterday. And it did not seem to put a lot of pressure on it. In other words, the markets, they did get sold down, no doubt, because they don't want to see energy prices. Mr. Biden is trying to drain another one of our reserves just to make everybody happy during the political season. He's really turning that into a mess, I can tell you that. He really has. It's unfortunate, but he has. He's such a political animal. It's a funny thing. All right, so from there, let's put the crude up on beta. And there it is right there. You see that strength kicking out. That's yesterday's right there on the daily. And that is the weekly. And it's telling us that there is buyers. That's what it says. Buyers. Buy. Is there a head and shoulders or anything like that going on in the other platform? Hard to say. I don't see it. And do I see this energy being transitory? I do. Crude oil is transitory because why? The chances are now Mr. Trump is going to be the next president. He has a funny saying that I love. It's drill, baby, drill, from the former governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin. Drill, baby, drill. All right. From there, we're going to jump over to, let's see, where are we going to jump over to? We'll go over to the Brent. There's the Brent. Same thing, lifting up strong, closing the daily buy yesterday, and it's climbing, trying to climb this week into the weekly buy. So we got oil doing that right there, and we've got Brent oil doing that right there, trying to climb into the buy. See what natural gas looks like. Natural gas has been in the buy. But you can see the daily has rolled over for the last 4 days now. We're fourth day in a sell. Today's is not updating yet, but it'll show that it's in a sell. But you see the green line trying to turn up, so more than likely it'll be like something like, let's see, where it could be, trying to find one. See how the difference is between here and there? Right there. It'll be the opposite. It'll probably be up in here. It won't be as deep. All right, from natural gas, we slide over to Spain and take a look and see how the energy company's doing over there. Wow, you can talk about a flat line in here. That's all the month of May has been sideways. You see the daily is now on a third day of a buy, and it might be very tight, but it looks like it's still in a daily buy. And you can see the weekly looking very firm, 10 full weeks in a buy. So it picked up from down here. It picked up, hey, let's be long, not wrong, or you'll be wrong. So down in the 20s, 2019 area, it went into a weekly buy, and it said, hey, be long or you're wrong. You be wrong. Now it has gone ziggy-zaggy, like it's not, it's stalled out in its transitory thing, but it's just right there. So. Where do we go from here? Let's see, we did natural gas, and what we could do is take a look at a heating oil. You want to see what this is? What is in the United States the oil we use in the wintertime? We're just flirting. We've been in a weekly sell on that stuff, like back in was it April? We went into the sell in the 265 area, 265.70 area, 260 area. And then by the end of the next week, it was just hanging out in the low 50s. And then we got down into the 40s, and we actually broke the 40 right there. And now we've been trying to, got into a daily buy, and you saw the bounce out of it. But now you're seeing the same thing going on with the weekly. It's trying to climb into the buy. It's not that comfortable of a sell at this point. Usually they buy this stuff somewheres around June, July. It's usually that's when they do that, and it seems to be doing that right now, that thing they do. So we may be, at this point, and I would imagine because of the transitory of politics, with Mr. Trump leading all around the country, by bigger points than they want to admit half the time. He's even threatening to be leading in, I think now New York State is in the 7-8% area. You get down into 3 and it becomes a coin flip. So 2.5, 3 usually is considered like super transitory. All right, so that's the heating oil that we use. The houses use, and you know what we use that oil too for? Airplanes. Airplanes run on heating oil. Or heating oil, and then so do trucks. It's called diesel over here. Diesel oil. All right. From there, I think we're going to drift now over to. Let's see. Oh, you didn't even see that. Let's make sure you could see that. I just looked up and saw that it's not reflective, and no one's saying anything about it. So yeah, there it is, right there. Yeah, there's the 75 area. It went into the weekly sell that week right there. And you know what? Where is that weekly sell thing? You can see it's below it, but put it in there. Let's see, right there. Let's do that again. There we go. So there was in the 65 area that week. And it ended up settling. Is that the Friday? Yeah, that's the Friday right there. Somewhere's in here, it went into, I guess this is, somewhere in here it went into the weekly sell. And then we put this in at the end of the week. So, somewhere's around here, 60, 62, 58, something like that. Not bad. It's not you wouldn't expect a lot of drop because of the demand you have around the world, for diesel oil, airplanes, and the heating oil for the houses. So, alrighty. From there, we'll drift over to the world markets, unless someone wants to see something. Let's go to the world markets. And that is over here. There we go. And so let's take a look at, we'll go to the Pacific Rim. What's going on in the Pacific Rim? Where's the Nikkei? Not the Nikkei. Yeah, Nikkei. There it is. Banzai. Nikkei. There it is right there. Oh, look at that little strength in there yesterday. And today they took it out of it. I don't know. That's going to be a real challenge. This thing could be going back through the zero line. You see here, it's been in a weekly buy for 3 weeks. And actually, it started the week off yesterday in a buy, and we'll see how today comes out at the close of today. And then from there, but you can see here, we're failing. This is all-time highs here, and they are already sold down, whereas in the United States, we're all cruising along at all-time highs here every day. And so it's really choppy up there because, as I said to Robin, if you can't sell when it's at all-time highs, when can you sell? Really? When can you take profits? If it's at all-time highs, how come you can't take any profits? Someone's got to sell something. All right. And then from there, we go over to the Kospi. And let's see how the Kospi is doing this morning. And there's the Kospi, and you can see that. Ooh, they smack-a-doodled that. You can see that. They started doing that yesterday. That pressure was coming in on the 28th. You can see that right there. So on Friday, it went into, I guess it was the daily buy. Yeah, Friday. No, it didn't. It was, I guess. Oh, you know what? They weren't closed for the holiday. That's what it is. So there's the 27th. So it went into a buy on the 27th, stayed there, and started to break. And you can see this is dipped underneath. And easily today, more than likely, since it was a negative there yesterday, the 29th, tomorrow will show us more. Also, at the same time, the weekly has been in a sell for over 10 weeks now, ever since the all-time high. So it makes it even tougher. Again, if you can't sell and take a profit at all-time highs, you're stuck. I mean, hey, what I used to say on the webinars, if you don't sell when you're making money, the next time you're selling is when you're losing money. So take a profit. All right. From there, we jump over to. Let's see. We'll go to Let's do Taipei index, and there it is right there. You see that is in the 21,500 area. It's actually 700 area. You see we've been in daily buys there for 5 full days. This is probably a 6 with a green dot up there. And then at the same time, matter of fact, that does. Oh no, it says 28th. Okay. And then at the same time, we've been in a weekly buy since the end of April. So that is, what's that? That's a 3. This is 6 weeks. And so ever since this right here. Ever since right there. Let's fix that again. So right there put us into the weekly buy for that move from the 19,700 area. From there, we'll skip across the little straits. You know, Taiwan has islands all the way up to literally about 4 miles off the coast. So, in other words, the Taiwan mainland or Taipei mainland might be, like 60, 70 miles out. But they control a chain of islands that go all the way up to the water's edge, basically. I guess you can't just march people across so easily. And from there, and guess what's stopping them from invading it? You see them, all the noise they're making all the time. We have about 4,000 Green Beret parked on that little island right about 3.5, 4 miles off the coast. All right. So there is, let's take a look at the Shanghai. See how the Shanghai is looking this morning. Shanghai's kind of, drifted off from this nice high area that it had developed right there. It's been drifting down. And you can see daily sell, but on, I guess it's the 28th. Yesterday, they tried to put it into the daily buy, and they did. No, they couldn't have because there's a red there. So there's the 28th. So today it's trying to get into the buy, but the problem is that let's do this. The problem is we can't see yet. It hasn't updated what the 29th is on the histogram. So you can see here it's up for the day with a green dot, but you can see this bar has some on the negative side and some on the positive side. So kind of stuck with that, almost in a daily buy, but not yet, And then you can see here, they're starting the week off in the negative. They, after 7 weeks in a weekly buy. Let's go straighten this out. After 7 weeks in a weekly buy, you can see that our weekly buy started on the 15th. Is that right? No, it was the end. It was remember, this puts the stupid thing up. So 15th is a Sunday. So let me just double check calendar. Yeah, that's what we're trying to fix right now. So the 15th is a Monday, right? And so when this shows this is really showing the 9th on the Friday, 15th. No, it's showing you the 12th. So this is the 12th right here, really. So then we go up here. It doesn't, the bar chart doesn't screw it up as much. So we've been in the weekly buy since like right here, that whole action there, as it climbed up. And now we are pushing into the sell. You can see that there. Let's go back to that calendar thing. And so the 27th is really the 24th. And so it survived and it stayed in the weekly buy, but it started this week off in a sell. That's how Shanghai has been. Okay, so from Shanghai, we'll go over to the Philippines and see what's going on there. Philippines is 2 weeks in a sell. It closed out the 24th in a sell, and it's starting the week off in a sell, and you can see the pressure that's been on it that whole last week right there. It was pressing down from the highs there. So it's just showing us weakness versus more weakness. weak, and weak. What else have we got going on there? Let's go take a look at Hong Kong. We kind of bounce back and forth. Shanghai, Philippines, and then we go to Hong Kong. The Hang Seng, which was one of the big leaders out of this whole move, which was kind of interesting in its own right. Where's the Hang Seng? HS something or another. Hang Seng. Come on, Hang Seng. You can jump out of this. There it is. Hang Seng. There we go. There's the Hang Seng. And you can see, it's coming off its highs in here. And on Monday, or Tuesday, I guess you could say, they put it into the buy. And, cleanly through. And then you can see today there's a lot of weakness, but we're still got a green dot. We'll see how that plays out tomorrow morning if it pushed itself into the sell. Can't wait to get this damn software straightened out. Because I tell you, I see just as much success on this beta platform when it's updating correctly as our old platform. So it sure does say to me likey. And then from there, we zip over to, where do we zip over to? From Hang Seng, we go to the Singapore Straits Times Index. And there it is right there. And you can see, wow, that thing just keeps on showing strength, and more strength. And it's pushing up, trying to go after this high over here. They're really pushing on it. Let's do it again like that. Matter of fact, it looks like it beat it. Beat it. We'll go like that. See that? We took out that high there. And, it's been a lot of daily buys throughout that whole move. It's been very firm. And firm. All right. From that, we zip-diddy-doo-dah over to... Let's check our times too. We're almost 25 after. I think I want to do my title, and then we'll go take a look at the ordinaries and the Nifty 50. We may be calling it quits from there. So. This title today should be Transitory Euro and Interest Rates. I think that's the best way to look at that. That's transitory to me. All right. Definitely transitory. They need to use that word more often correctly. I like that idea. Because if I had to describe inflation rate, not inflation as much as the dollar and interest rates, definitely the interest rates, I would say they're transitory. We know that they're at they're not going to raise them again. So that makes them transitory. They're getting ready to roll over. Just the way they thought inflation was going to roll over from 1.4 to 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and even 10. They all called it transitory. They were waiting for that fallback down to the 1.4 again. So, all right, let's give you a quick look. There's the ordinaries. Ordinaries have been breaking down, and you can see they're still in that weekly buy though. But that'll really start to change it tomorrow, I'm sure. We'll see a big change in that. And then there's the Nifty 50. The Nifty 50 is breaking down also at the same time like that. And you can see it's still in a weekly buy too. But you can see the daily has broken down and it's yesterday, and it's probably easily breaking down today. And let's show you the DAX. We'll give you a quick flow through Europa. Where are you, DAX? DAX. There's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of trapped, kind of sideways. It's in a weekly buy. You see that there. That's the Bitcoin. Where's the DAX? There's the DAX. DAX is a lot of sells over the last bunch of days, but it's not really gone too far. Today they're slamming it. They pushed it down yesterday, but they're pushing harder today, and we're still in that weekly buy. Let's take a look at the French market right there. You can see that. Trying to break down again, too. Ooh, smackadoodle city there. And they've been in a weekly sell for 3 weeks. Over on the FTSE, boom, boom, and boom. There's FTSE playing with the weekly sell. How about that? Smackadoodle. And the daily's been in the sell for 8 days now. Driving them down. All right, traders, we're out of here. This is Doc from North America. We will catch you all tomorrow. Same time, same channel. So, happy trails to you. until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders. Have a safe and smart trading day. We'll catch you tomorrow. Ta-ta for now. Sayonara.